The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your hosts, Jason Beck and Rico Lamitte, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us.
The key fob is not.
Oh, yeah. Good morning, everybody. That's right. It is Monday, the most important day of the week, and it's October 30th, and today is National Wicked Day, World Audio Drama Day, Rico, National Publicist Day,
Drama.
Speak Up for Service Day, and National Candy Corn Day. Oh, yeah, everyone loves some candy corn. Thank you for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. That's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. Use that fancy little QR code right there in the top hand corner of your screen to see where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube. And now we are also streaming to Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and anything else? Am I forgetting anything? Oh, that's it. And Rumble. That's right. Oh, yeah. So welcome to everyone joining us from any of those other audience platforms. But kicking it off first, we have the dope dad himself. That's right. The Quasimodo caretaker. The baby Yoda specialist. That's right. It is none other than the dope dad himself. That's right. Little Quasimodo himself. Rico Lamitte.
Young Quasimodo and the place to be.
Yeah.
All right, Jason. We're gonna kick this party off right, because I got a doozy
Oh, boy. Here we
for y'all
go.
today.
Here we go.
Bowie's Schiller Flexner LLP.
You know I know David Boyes.
Some might remember the name as the same Los Angeles-based law firm that won an antitrust case in the late 1990s against Microsoft on behalf of the U.S. government. They're also credited for overturning California's same-sex marriage ban in 2013. And for the third act, Bowie's, Schiller, and Flexner is now representing a group of cannabis companies suing the U.S. government in an effort to overturn the federal prohibition for restricting state legal commerce. Do they have a chance? The suit was filed last week against U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland in the U.S. federal court in Massachusetts. And the list of plaintiffs includes both MSOs, local Massachusetts businesses, and it includes Verano Holdings, Canna Provisions, Wise Acre Farm, and Gyasi Sellers, a Black Massachusetts social equity delivery license holder. Interesting. In addition to the plaintiffs, Ascend Wellness, TerraSend Group, Green Thumb Industries, Eminence Capital, and Poseidon Investment Management are all listed as foundational supporters of the suit. A joint statement released by the plaintiffs read that federal criminalization of safe, regulated intrastate cannabis legal in 38 states is unconstitutional and unfair to small business. Cannabis businesses are unconstitutionally prevented from obtaining loans and investments, which makes them unable to maintain normal banking relations. They're also subject to discriminatory taxes. This suit argues that many cannabis businesses are suffering, people are losing their jobs, and individual wealth is being destroyed. And Verano President Darren Weiss says that they're prepared to bring this case all the way to the Supreme Court. While a similar case was filed in 2005, Bullish analysts argue that things are much different back then. Far fewer states were allowed medical consumption. None at the time had adult use. Fast forward to 2023, and we've had nearly a decade of safe banking ping-ponged back and forth between the House and Senate. The DEA considered the Department of Health and Human Services rescheduling recommendations recently, and now multiple sources are saying a disheveled Attorney General Merrick Garland's recently been seen in the studio with Dr. Dre working on his own Cole Memo remix. Things have definitely changed. The lawsuit marks the third branch of the federal government considering cannabis reforms: Congress, the White House, and now federal courts. Jeffries analyst Owen Bennett says that in the article that the circumstances have now materially changed as Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas in 2021 argued national prohibition may be unconstitutional. With all these bureaucratic stars in alignment, a perfect balanced mix of cannabis MSOs, mom and pops, and the founder of a cannabis courier service who just happens to be a black man representing them all represented by the same law firm that back in 1990s denied Bill Gates total world domination, and in the early 2010s had the governor publicly officiating after twice vetoing same-sex marriage. Real talk. If y'all not in California, look that shit up. It's real. Now, I gotta admit, the optics are looking pretty optimal, if you ask me, on this one. Does this lawsuit have what it takes to finally federally legalize cannabis in the United States of America? You know what? I don't know. I'm just Rico Lamitte, the dopest dad on the street for High 9 News. I want to hear from y'all. What do you think about this one? Are we gonna have it? Is it gonna go through?
It's funny, Rico, because a number of years ago I had a dinner with David Boyce, and we had this exact conversation about doing all of this. So I'm just happy to see him actually getting after it, and a company actually funding his efforts to do this.
Do you think that it's gonna actually pass this time? Do you think the proper
Well,
stars are in alignment?
well, if you remember, we've said numerous times. I know Dale has said it numerous times on the show that he believes that our true pathway to legalization is through the court system, and so this possibly could very well mean something like that. But I think it'll actually happen through a different court case. But I think
Why not this one?
Why not this one? Just it's.
Yeah.
I think the merits on the case, just the fact that he's suing the federal government for the illegality of its scheduling. I think the government has more tricks up its sleeve than being able to just get one pulled over on them with those arguments.
Well, they're calling it unconstitutional, and they said that
And I agree with them.
punishing
I agree with them that it is unconstitutional. I totally agree with this thing. I'm just telling you, and how things get played out in court, I just kind of see a little possible different outcome. But David Boyce is a very competent lawyer to be able to argue these points, and so I'm excited to see what he has to say, and I can't wait to watch this as this proceeds.
I can dig it. What do y'all think, Yarrow St. Germain?
I keep hearing more and more rumors of Schedule 3, and I just wonder, are they gonna make cannabis Schedule 3 but still allow the state exemption?
What exemption? What do you mean?
Like Schedule 1 right now, and we have the state exemption that if you follow your state laws, that the DEA won't come and crack on you. I'm just wondering if that's going to remain the same if they reschedule it.
No.
Or does it just dump everything over?
Dumps everything over. We're all Schedule 3, and I don't understand all these people that are for Schedule 3, how they understand how they're going to be able to get their cannabis, because Schedule 3 drugs have to be administered out of a pharmacy. Just wondering.
We can all just grow it in our backyards.
What is going on with Merrick Garland and the new updated remixed Cole Memo? What's the deal with that?
I think Eric Garland has his hands full with all these all this messaging that Chuck Grassley came out with on Friday about all these FBI informants that have been watching the Biden administration for like 40 years.
So
what about the new Cole Memo?
Separate from all that, what I realized as you were reading this article was how far I have to go and to evolve as a participant in High at 9 News, because the way you injected your commentary into the way you read the article, I was like, man, I just come up here I put on the big font on the screen. I read the article. Occasionally I might drop a little funny or something in there. But like you did like the whole memo remix. Like you brought in that hip hop jokey over the top of it.
That's why
like,
he's a dope dad, Yarrow. That's why he's a dope dad. All right.
dope
Yeah.
on the street. And so for me, I'm in awe. Like I don't even know if my commentary is worthy of being on this same show. Like I really, I need to level up.
It's
for
beyond,
sure.
it's beyond worthy.
The
It's beyond worthy.
the
What are you
self-reflection. Here we go.
Thing for me. Okay. Here's the thing for me. What are we talking about again?
Oh man.
No,
Here we go.
so the thing is that when you look at this states' rights conversation, it's interesting to see how the left and the right break apart on states' rights. Like if you talk to someone and they say they're a libertarian, you just got to dig a little deeper to find out if they're kind of left libertarian or right libertarian. Because like some right libertarians are like abortion, that should be a states' rights issue, and then some left people are like cannabis, that should be a state rights. Although you got some right on that as well. Then so it really depends on the issue, right? Here's the thing. The boys in the brief are always hard. Come talking that trash on the courtyard yard. I would never vote against David Boies. I would never want to be on the other side of a conflict with him. That motherfucker has got a track record of doing shit.
He does.
I do think that it's a false paradigm to say, is this going to get worked out in the courts or not, right? That's not the question to be asking. The question to be asking is, will the things that happen in the court move this in a certain direction and provide momentum or pressure or an additional front? And I think that's the question. And the answer is obviously yes, right? And so courts have historically been a place to apply some pressure. And so I think that this guy in this venue is going to apply pressure that we will either see directly or indirectly will have tangible effects on how this thing plays out federally.
Well, any thoughts on this, Mathieu St. Germain? You're still working on your key fob. You're still working on your key fob, huh?
I got my key together, man. I'm having a Monday, everybody. Sorry. Let me get back here. I just hi everybody, Mathieu St. Germain, High at Night News.
Yarrow, I thought the question was the whole question was to ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country.
I mean, that guy got his head blown off for saying that. So I'm like more lower than
man. And on that, we're going to go to a commercial. We're going to be right back.
The Control Tower from Highly Educated has perfected the dab. Utilizing the concept of thin film evaporation, you can waste none of it and taste all of it. The micro texture of the SE pillar increases nucleation at elevated temperatures. And with the tower propelling at 2,600 RPMs, it's certainly the most efficient dab experience to date. The Control Tower from Highly Educated.
Except there's a piece of Kennedy that got blown all the way over there.
Whoa.
Hey, we off that. We off that. Coming to the stage next. Coming to the stage next on our family program. We have the man known for smoking the best weed in the world. He's blowing smoke in an area close to you these days. Also known for his undying support of, people who want to undermine the
greatest
government
president in
allegedly.
American history.
It's neither here nor there. We're going to talk about weed today. Y'all know who it is. Jason Beck.
Oh, yeah. Good morning, you guys. Happy Monday. Man. Oh, man. Oh, boy. Well, how did I do that? Oh, geez Louise. How did that happen? Oh, you know what, you guys? I apologize. Hold on. I'm having a malfunction. I'm all of a sudden now I'm having a Monday. Get out of here. What is happening?
At any point, you can close your eyes and just start your day all over again.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
I needed to go.
I
make up a story, Jason.
No, you know what? Here we go. Missouri lawmaker calls for an investigation into fraudulent activities in the cannabis program. A St. Louis lawmaker is demanding that Missouri regulators investigate what she called an egregious exploitation of social cannabis equity licenses. Following a report that we actually covered here on High and 9 News, The Independent last week, about a company that recruited out-of-state license applicants on Craigslist. You remember this, Rico? That's right. State Senator Carla May, a St. Louis Democrat, sent a letter on Thursday to the state's Division of Cannabis Regulation and Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey demanding action. Voter approved the micro-businesses program last November as a provision in the constitutional amendment that legalized adult-use cannabis, and May wrote that the program was intended to rectify past injustices of marijuana criminalization. In a quote, she says, "I condemn these actions as an affront to the principles that guided the Citizens Initiative," May stated. "These people of Missouri spoke loud and clear in their support for a fair, inclusive cannabis industry that addresses historical disparities. It is disheartening to see the bad actors attempt to exploit the system for personal gain, undermining the very opportunities we sought to create." May's letter was sent hours after The Independent published a story revealing that the Michigan real estate group Canna Zoned MLS offered to pay eligible people to enter lotteries awarding social equity licenses in Illinois and Missouri. But 2 applicants told The Independent that they didn't realize the company's contracts forced them to relinquish all control and profits of the business, according to an agreement they said they signed. On October 2nd, the state issued 48 licenses excuse me, to the winners of the lottery that determined who gets to participate in Missouri's micro-business program. Of the 16 dispensary licenses awarded, the Michigan group obtained 2 of them, one in Columbia and another in Arnold. The scheme orchestrated by these applicants potentially involved fraudulent activities, May said, gaming the system to secure licenses through the exploitation of legacy advantages that the ballot language aimed to mitigate. Jeffrey Yadatuma, the designated contact on licenses associated with the Michigan group, told The Independent last week that the group rejects any allegations that we have defrauded the state. Any final agreements with partners in Missouri, he said, will absolutely comply with the state's laws and regulations, they say. In response to May's letter, Mr. Yadatuma told The Independent he stands by his previous statements, basically that the Division of Cannabis Regulation Director Amy Moore responded in May in a letter Friday morning. Moore said the division shares the senator's desire that the program be implemented exactly as designed and that no unscrupulous actors be allowed to subvert the law. In fact, the law itself anticipated the need to investigate whether micro-business licenses were awarded to eligible applications post-licensure, she said, and we currently are conducting that mandated verification process. Moore said the division's post-licensure verification for the 48 license winners will be completed in early December, followed by a public report of the results. If we determine that an application was false or misleading in any way, the license issued based on that application may be revoked, Moore said. The division has broad authority to conduct investigations, and under a new rule that went into effect July 30th, the department now has the power to issue subpoenas directly to licensed marijuana businesses and third parties during an investigation to obtain records and information. Applicants and licensees must cooperate in any investigation conducted by the department, the rules state. And in her letter, Moore said that if the division uncovers activity that, if of concern but outside our jurisdiction, we will refer that information to the proper authority. Basically, they're saying that they're going to snitch on you. The Attorney General's office, which also received the letter, did not respond to a request for comment after reading the Independent's article. State Representative Ashley Bland Monolov, a Kansas City Democrat, called the actions predatory and criminal. And she says, I encourage all states involved to revoke any licenses issued and reissue them to actual residents who qualify, she said. I'd like to see criminal charges for the lawyers who created the contracts and whoever created the Craigslist post for fraud. Jack Cardelletti, spokesman of the Missouri Cannabis Trade Organization, said it's up to the division's verification process to make sure the laws and rules were followed. And Article 14 of the Missouri Constitution entrusts the agency to run its voter-approved program effectively, he said, and we hope they live up to that. Well. What do you think about all this Missouri going on? And this is Jason Beck for the High at 9 News Hour. What do y'all think about this? You're on mute, Rico. You're on mute. You're on mute. There you go. No, you're still muted, bro. What are you doing? I can't hear you.
Hey.
There we go. Now I hear
Hey!
you. There you go. Now we hear you. It's about time, Rico. There we go.
Sounds like a lot of misery to me.
Well,
yeah,
you
this
know-
is an extension of my story last week when they were finessing applicants, equity applicants, in on Craigslist. And glad to see they actually got a lawsuit going against them.
Would you call it finessing, or isn't it more like finessed because it's already done? Just saying.
Well, they're still doing it. They're doing it in other states too. It was what, Michigan, Maryland?
No, I thought it was just
states.
Illinois and Missouri. I thought.
I mean, I don't mean to sound like a sick bastard, but I like my social equity finessed in any state I'm in.
Oh, I bet you do.
A lot of this just seems like, man, can we just let these people do business, right? Like, it's just amazing the amount of hoops and bullshit that people are still having to go through. Just a little weird.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, this is capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
It's American style capitalism, and there's always going to be some assholes trying to screw over the people who are the most vulnerable. And this guy Yakatuma, whatever his name is, man, like he should be banned from the business. He should be banned from the industry. But good luck doing that on a state-to-state basis. We don't have any continuity going on here. I could see him getting shut down in Missouri and just continuing to do what he does in more emerging markets. There's no uniformity in the laws, and there's always loopholes too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to close up all these loopholes, and you're gonna have scammers just like this dude, and these companies continuing to do what they do.
Without a doubt.
America,
scammers, lots of scammers going on, lots and lots of scammers. Man, this story. I mean. Do you really think that they're going to be able to prosecute these guys with this? You hear what the one lady said? We want these guys to
they'll get a slap on the wrist. They might get a fine.
I don't think they're even going to
But
get
you know
that.
what?
I don't
Like-
think they're
like-
even going to get that. I bet you they get I bet you they get the licenses. I bet you they get the licenses.
They already got the licenses.
They're going to come back. They're going to come back and say, "Oh, in our investigative process, we have determined that there was no fraud committed in this," and they're going to get the licenses. I bet you.
They already got them. He got like I think it was like he got 4.
Well, they're in the review
in Missouri
process,
and 2
I
in
thought.
Illinois.
2. They got 2 in Missouri. 2.
So I do have one practical sort of like thing that.
Hold on. You and practicality go along together. Is this what's going on? You're telling me now?
It's really revolutionary, right? Like
Uh,
for a long time, if you were going to enter into certain contracts and agreements, it was a requirement of that contract or agreement that you actually had it reviewed by an attorney. Like if a man and woman want to have a premarital agreement, there's a requirement that both of those people with their bodies, both those people have it reviewed by an
Both of their
attorney before they
bodies.
sign it.
Sound like R.
And
Kelly.
if they sign it without reviewing it, having an attorney review it, like it's not binding on the person who didn't have an attorney review it with them, right? And so like those are things that have been around for decades outside of cannabis. So one of the things that comes up for me is like, we got this thing around these people who sign these contracts and they say they don't understand what they meant, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Maybe it's sour grapes. Maybe they were lazy. Maybe they didn't even read it. Maybe they didn't even take the time to highlight the parts they didn't understand and say, what does that mean? I don't know.
Maybe
But
they
I
hired
do
a
think-
fake lawyer.
Yeah.
But so I do think
Yarrow.
it makes sense Well, I don't like the fake lawyers. I like my lawyers genuine. I always check the label.
Well, you
I
know, they
look
got
for
all
the
these.
Y-
They
y-
got these
I'm
fake
always
unions.
like Sidney Powell, Rudy Giuliani. those some
I
some
don't like
quality
players. I don't
lawyers
like
right
players who
there.
rip off the side of their hair dye. It's like a thing for me. I'm a little superficial. I like my lawyers that are a little more presentable. But I do think that when people enter into contracts, it's not a bad thing if it's a pretty important contract to require that both sides actually have a lawyer review it before it's binding on either party. It would save a lot of like downstream litigation and I didn't understand what that meant, or I was taken advantage of. Maybe you were, but if you
Right.
if you're required to have a lawyer review it on your behalf, I think it could save a lot of headache and heartache.
But Yarrow, do you expect these people that are signing up to have the proper legal documentation or representation if they're signing up on Craigslist?
Well,
They're
so
signing up. They're selling an ad
I
on
think they
Craigslist with a
I
company
think they
saying that they're
yes,
going to pay them $2,000 for filling out the application, and if they get the actual license, they're going to receive $20,000. You think they're going to read the fine print? No. They're
so
they're looking for casual encounters and for free
so
pickup on whatever they want on Craigslist, and they
so
just
look,
happen to stumble across social equity licensing.
Look, so I think that ideas without resources is a terrible approach to policy. And so it's not uncommon for these programs to have a budget for social equity people to have that reviewed. You
Right.
can build that into your program so that people aren't under resourced when it comes to understanding complicated legalese or a 36-page document. In terms of what people are looking for on Craigslist, uh, I can't help with that. I like to live a racy lifestyle, but the truth is, I've never met anybody under a bridge just yet.
Hey, hey,
So
rest in peace, Backpage.
recipes backstage. I do think the recipe for social equity applicants not getting taken advantage of does include a mandatory review by an attorney, and there should be funding built into those programs so that people who are under resourced can still get the quality of counsel before they sign something, because a dollar spent on legal on the front end is $10 saved in litigation on the back end. And so lawyers are like cops, right? Nobody appreciates them until you need them. It's better to use them on the front side to avoid problems than it is to call them in later to unravel or fix or solve or put out the fire that those avoidable problems created.
Agreed. You got think of a lawyer overseeing your contract. It doesn't. It's not that expensive to get your documentation reviewed on the front end, and just consider that an insurance policy
Well,
of sorts
not to
before
mention
you
with like
enter these
things
agreements.
like Chat GPT now too, Rico.
Well,
Things
and
like
it
that,
just
even.
bothers me because this idea that I signed something that I didn't know what it meant and I was therefore taken advantage of, it, while that is common, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen, it's a lazy ass approach to adulting for anybody, whether they're sophisticated or not, whether they're experienced or not, whether they were outgunned or not. Like, read your shit, okay? Like, the number of people who don't even pick up a pen and read the contracts that they're going to sign. Like, you don't create intergenerational wealth by skipping through the fine print.
Tell them.
And it's very hard to create generational wealth through cannabis anyway.
Inner? Did you say?
Anyway.
Did you say
Real estate,
intergenerational?
like real estate for that
there's
price.
there's two sides of this shit, and I try not to talk too much about the other side, but I think it's very, very important that I do. If you're eligible and you see that somebody's gonna pay you, 2 racks just to sign some paperwork, and then if you get the license, it's 20,000 as well on top of that. That's $22,000 that you didn't have before. And yes, the license will be more worth more. Yes, it'll be a lot of heartache and pain down those next couple of years of you trying to get up and running. But I mean, is it a good deal to take that 22,000? Just drop the license and let them have it?
I'm never against people taking paper or chips off the table. I don't think everything has to be a home run. You get a couple base hits, that pays for some orthodontics bills and then some. I just think that the thing here is that when people sign paperwork, they should understand not what they're taking out of a deal, but what they're inheriting, what obligations, what liabilities. Do they have tax liability to the business? Is the business going to borrow money? Are there personal guarantees involved? Everything looks shiny from afar, but typically there's a reason why contracts are are best executed with counsel side by side to say, what does this mean? What's the downside of this agreement? That's why people, when they get older, they become more financially conservative, because life typically has kicked them in the nuts a few times, right? And so being like, not just looking at what could go right, but looking at what could go wrong is absolutely the lens of experience.
Right. No, it's true. It's risk management through and through.
Yes.
Jason, are you getting finessed over there?
No. On that note, we're going to move right on into our next story. All this finessing going on. We're going to roll right into Mr. Yarrow Kubrin. He is a guy from Florida, but he actually lives in Sonoma, and he does cannabis. He does real estate, and every now and again, he puts those two together like a PB&J sandwich and makes cannabis real estate. That's right. It is none other than Mr. Yarrow Kubrin.
Oh my goodness. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the beginning of the week. Hi at 9 News viewers. PB&J. If my cannabis real estate is a PB&J, it's definitely the kind your mama already took the crust off of and cut into little triangles. So
Are you sure it's not the
good.
Crustables? Sure, it's not the Crustables.
It's not. So good morning. Good morning. I don't have that in the mix commentary woven in like Rico. So I'm just gonna be like my inferior self this morning. Let's get to my article and let's talk a little bit about cannabis real estate. My article this morning: Council approved zoning changes allowing for the sale and delivery of adult use cannabis. In Tuesday's meeting, Council approved changes to the city zoning code allowing for expanded retail cannabis sales, finally acknowledging the opportunity it presents to assist in the city's economic recovery. This is here in Santa Monica, California. In the 7-hour-long meeting that was dominated by a number of undiscussed items brought over the last week, this particular item took 90 minutes, incorporating some extensive and on occasion extraneous conversation. However, the decision was a unanimous one. The first cannabis dispensary opened in the city of Santa Monica back in June, more than a year and a half after the permit was issued in October 2021, 6 years after the application was requested in December of 2017, and 26 years since medical marijuana was made legal in the state of California. Per the Santa Monica Municipal Code, only 2 dispensaries are allowed in the city, and they are limited to medical use only, which means that consumers will be required to have a doctor's recommendation to purchase products. This item hasn't been discussed in front of City Council since the June 13th meeting, when AJ Kulori, HDL's Director of Cannabis Services, a municipal consulting firm that provides guidance on cannabis business regulations, said, quote, Santa Monica's residents therefore can, and most certainly do, cross city limits to purchase adult use cannabis from LA-based businesses. During that meeting, the mayor asked, could we allow the 2 current medical dispensaries to convert to recreational dispensaries? It was mentioned then that the only existing dispensary in Santa Monica, the local cannabis company, was losing the interest of the majority of walk-in customers who, upon learning that they needed to apply for a medical card, simply leave without purchasing anything. Since we've opened, we've only had about a 20% conversion rate. I think it's closer to 10%, but you can see how far off that is. It's just people not wanting to wait. Aaron Carchillo, CEO of Calyx Peak, the parent company of the local cannabis company, told the Daily Press. The request for applications ran from December 2017 to February 2018 and saw over 21 different requests. A second dispensary, Harvest of Santa Monica, which was set to be sited on 1416 Wilshire Boulevard, was also approved in January 2022, but that hasn't materialized yet. Since this vote would allow this second outlet to open, issues pertaining to the proximity to local schools and housing, the danger to children, and even the design of labels was raised. With regard to the second business on Wilshire, it's on the 1400 block, and that is the same 1400 block, actually closer to the front door of Lincoln School than the new store. You have a Rite Aid, you have a Vons that both sell liquor, and they don't have guards like marijuana dispensaries are going to have, said Davis. So if you're worried about children from Lincoln Middle School getting access to things they are not of age to have, they can already walk into the Rite Aid or the Vons and attempt to buy liquor. They're going to have to show proof of age at the door of the cannabis dispensary, which they don't have to show at the door of the Rite Aid or the Vons. Council approved changes allowing for adult use cannabis sales and delivery of 2 medicinal cannabis retailers with active conditional use permits issued before October 10th, 2023, and approval of an interim zoning ordinance that would remove certain requirements and permit retailers within the city to deliver, cultivate, and sell adult use cannabis or cannabis products to persons 21 years of old. All right, I'm going to cut off the rest of this because it's going to get as geeky and as zony as only I would personally enjoy. But I'm going to add a little Rico Dope Dad commentary over the top of this as I end my reading of this article. So I have said, for those who've ever cared to bore themselves by listening to me for more than a second, that cannabis ultimately, with the exception of intellectual property or branding, cannabis ultimately is a real estate play. It's a niche of real estate, and at the heart of that is zoning. Zoning is to real estate like the DNA is to an organism. It lets you know what highest and best use is going to be should that organism or should that property be fully developed. And so it's not surprising to me that Santa Monica is going back to the zoning drawing board to try to figure out how to be more receptive and conducive to the businesses that are already there by not limiting them to just medical and allowing them to do adult use. HDL is not my favorite company for consulting to municipalities on cannabis policy, and even HDL is recommending that Santa Monica be a little more inclusive and allow for adult use. It's also really, really telling, and I can glean the sad little parts of this story out of the article. It talked about the number of years since adult use had passed in California, and then how long it took to get that one permit. And then after that permit it took another year and a half to get these stores open. So it was sad to see yet again another example of the glacial pace of development progress. This is Yarrow Kubrin, High at 9 News, Monday morning.
Man, oh man. I can't get enough of all these fireworks going on in Mathieu St. Germain's background right now. He's getting lit over there. He's having a celebration for Santa Monica right now because it sounds like they're going to get some adult use sales going on over there.
Or weed for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm amazed at how behind the times Santa Monica is, with the exception of the fact that like they're one of these municipalities that doesn't really need the money from cannabis. They have resort hotels, 4-star hotels. They have some smaller movie and television studios. They have so much money going in. There's so much access everywhere else. I think they're probably like doing the old NIMBY play, not in my backyard. You want weed, go to Venice, go to Midtown.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe they need to change their buses from the big blue buses to the big green buses. Maybe that.
Or the big blue bus is the only bus I would ever ride in LA. The rest of them are insane.
I mean, I wouldn't even ride the big blue bus.
The big blue's pretty nice.
I mean, you like to take a lot of risks, apparently, Mathieu St. Germain. What's that, Yarrow?
Yeah, we keep seeing this. We keep seeing this all up and down California, where entrenched interests that have old money just barricade and blockade cannabis. We're seeing the same thing happening in Mendocino and Humboldt. All these people are like, why are they shutting down the process in Mendo and Humboldt? Well, here's the reason. The folks who control Mendo and Humboldt and Santa Monica and the majority of the coast of California are mostly people who have inherited those lands from the folks who stole them originally in the 1800s. They don't need cannabis money. They don't need tourism money. They have the money from the real estate from the land. And they really want all of the hippies out of there so they can really bring it back to how it was before the Back to the Land movement in the 60s. Same thing goes in just a slightly different fashion for Santa Monica. Mm-hmm. Those millionaires and billionaires don't care about weed. They don't want us there.
Oh, man. And on that, we're going to go to a commercial, and we're going to be right back.
Relying on 25 years of commercial hydroponic experience, King Solomon Nutrients has engineered the best liquid and dry fertilizer products for cannabis that preserves the crop, the soil, and the environment. Through relentless passion, research, and innovation, King Solomon has developed simplified cannabis crop nutrition you can trust. It was created for farmers, by farmers. Don't mess around. Try the crown.
Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed already. We would appreciate it, and I know you will appreciate it as well. And all the articles, if you want to read them today, you can also go to our website at www.highat9news.com, and we'll see you there.
How's it going, guys? Saman Razani coming to you from Green Street here with Jason Beck, smoking on the best weed in the world. Did you know that we have an audio-only version of our podcast available on Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Spotify? Tune in now and check it out.
Oh, yes. Coming up next, that's right, it's Mr. Fireworks himself. That's right, it's Mathieu St. Germain, the immortal Count, who runs on fire in hot coals and just makes the world look just like his background. Oh, yes, that's right. It is the immortal Count himself, Mr. Mathieu St. Germain.
Hey, thanks, Jason. You know, people say you never watch footage you take of fireworks, and so I decided to buck that convention and show us all what was going down at Burning Man after the rain and the muds dried up. Only the degenerates were left. We still had a great time. We burned all the stuff.
Everyone that was sitting around.
My article.
Everyone sitting around.
What's that there?
Everyone that was sitting around got stuck in the mud, huh?
All the people who didn't panic and leave. Yeah. Yeah. The real degenerates.
Yep.
Boom. There we go.
Or everyone that
my
didn't
article,
pack a shovel.
My article I had summarized today with ChatGPT in the spirit of welcoming our new technocratic overlords. A couple of my friends and we had a talk, and we figured if we always say please and thank you to ChatGPT, that when they take over and enslave us, maybe they'll give us a better gig than most people get. So thank you, ChatGPT. An off-duty Alaska airline pilot nearly crashed a goddamn plane and blamed it on mushrooms. This is ridiculous. An off-duty Alaska Airlines pilot, Joseph D. Emerson, made headlines when he attempted to disable a plane's engines mid-flight. And recent revelations have shed light on the bizarre incident. Emerson told investigators that he believed he was in a dreamlike state and had consumed magic mushrooms. Now wait for this part. Approximately 48 hours before the incident. He'd also been awake for an extended period, exacerbating the situation. In an alarming twist, he tried to cut off the fuel supply to the aircraft's engine while it was en route from Washington State to San Francisco. Fortunately, the quick actions of the aircraft's captain and first officer prevented a catastrophic engine failure. Emerson's behavior escalated as he reached for the fire controls in the cockpit, sparking a confrontation with the pilots. They managed to restrain him before he could pull the handles completely. Emerson's mental state at the time of the incident appears to be a complex interplay of factors. While it's highly unlikely that psilocybin, the active compound in magic mushrooms, would still be in his system 48 hours after use, it wouldn't. Experts suggest that the lingering effects coupled with existing depression and sleep deprivation could have created a perfect storm. This combination might have led to behavioral changes, derealization, which is a sense of detachment from one's surroundings, and even psychotic-like behavior, particularly for someone with pre-existing psychiatric conditions. That's important. Emerson now faces both state and federal charges, including interfering with a flight crew and attempted murder. Authorities believe it was likely a mental health episode rather than an act of terrorism, emphasizing the need for a comprehensive assessment of his psychological state as part of the legal proceedings. Despite this shocking incident, no passengers were harmed. I bet they were freaked out. Thanks to the swift response of the flight crew, everybody was okay, and the airline is reaching out to passengers individually to address their experiences and their well-being. Now, it sounds like this was more this gentleman's mental state, and one thing I would say, just from my own experience that I've seen, is it's not really the psychedelics that are going to do you. It is sleep deprivation. Sleep deprivation is incredibly dangerous. It can cause hallucinations. It can cause all kinds of wackiness with your brain chemicals, and apparently it made this dude think he could turn the plane off and everything would be all right. I'm a little bit sad that it's got this article has gotten such major play with the tie to mushrooms, where it really hasn't. The guy wasn't on mushrooms at the time, but Jason and Yarrow, I would love to hear what you guys have to add to and say about this. This is Mathieu St. Germain on a frantic ass Monday for the High at Night.
I mean, Matthew, are we just going to call this mushroom madness to correlate with reefer madness?
No.
I think this mushroom
wasn't the mushrooms. This dude was a loon.
Madness. This is mushroom madness, bro. I can't.
Well, it just highlights the fact that a lot of
hours?
people. That's what I'm saying. A lot of people.
On the one hand and on the other hand, first of all, I need to thank you for your explosive news article. It was very illuminating, and and I can appreciate it. And when the smoke clears from your background, let's talk about that on the one hand and on the other hand, okay? On the one hand, I remember being at Reggae on the River on mushrooms as a young 20-something and watching somebody else on mushrooms decide to jump off a cliff, and they didn't do so well because they didn't make the water and it didn't work out so well for them, and they died. They died, and it ruined my trip, right? So I've always been a little
You're such a Debbie Downer.
I've had a healthy fear for psychedelics and the choices that could be made while on psychedelics. I don't think we can put all plant medicines in the same categories. go take Dartura and trip for 3 days and then come back to me and tell me if you think it's the same as smoking a little bit of cannabis, right? Very, very different worlds, very, very different impacts, very, very different risks of not being supervised while on a psychedelic journey, for lack of a better word, right? So there's that part. The second part of it is I have never in my life heard of anybody who 48 hours after consuming any amount of psilocybin was still under the influence of psilocybin. I am not a doctor. I don't play one on TV. I do play one in the master bedroom Thursday nights and Sunday evenings at 4:30 p.m.
Hey now.
But I just don't buy this defense. Ultimately, everybody is responsible for their own behavior, and I get it. But I've had some trips, and at no point in any of the trips that I had when I was a wayward youth did I ever think like, let's kill the jet, let's kill the engine, those thoughts are not necessarily thoughts that come up for any person who's under the influence of psilocybin, in my opinion.
My thoughts around that, Yarrow, is usually I'm ready to tackle whoever is going to try to reach for that door handle or anything else like that.
Yes, sir. Well, and here's the thing is,
you're taking a heroic dose and trying to act like a hero, and I love that about you. I don't know if I'm going to tackle anybody. I just think as we tackle this issue,
I'll tackle them. I'll do whatever I have to do. I don't care.
It's hard for me to think that 48 hours later, after someone taking some mushrooms, that's the reason why they'd want to kill the thing. And
it's on you at that point. It's on you, not mushrooms.
So question.
But here's the thing: is psychedelics really need to be respected. They're not. A lot of times people use them as a flippant or kind of a facile party drug, and they really aren't.
No,
you can with smaller doses have some fun party times, but you always need to treat these substances with respect. They're incredibly powerful. And the other thing is, there's levels and layers of perspective or realities that are given to one on mushrooms, and that's why for thousands of years there were things such as the rituals of Eleusis or apprentice, journeyman, shamanism, and curanderismo, because oftentimes you hear this in all these different allegories, like like in Fantasia, the Sorcerer's Apprentice, right? Mm-hmm. There's these levels and layers that one needs to really cultivate themselves and their discipline in order to be able to access without going crazy or doing some dumb shit or doing something that's self-harmful, because you can literally have it revealed to you. Here's the thing is, you can have it revealed to you that we live in an infinity of all consciousness and all love. So on one level, nothing actually matters. So if that gentleman crashes the plane, if you put it against a time scale of the entire universe, it's inconsequential. Nothing happens. At the same time, our 3D reality matters to us and our loved ones. And so we need to kind of scaffold these levels and layers of realities to where, like, dude, if you crash the plane, you're fucking up a bunch of people's lives and livelihoods. And it's a horror. And so a lot of this comes back to personal work, need for psychedelic big brothers and sisters and mentoring, need for people with existing psychiatric symptoms to seek therapy instead of self-medicating through psychedelics. And it becomes a much bigger conversation with a lot of nuance.
Is that why they say there's levels to this shit?
Straight up, bro.
Okay.
I mean, look, we're dealing with the tragedies across this country of people with mental health issues who are getting under treatment, non-treatment, where issues and red flags and yellow flags are not being taken seriously. We have a crisis in this country, and just because it doesn't bleed and just because we can't put a Band-Aid on it doesn't mean that we're doing a great job as a society taking care of those who have mental health issues. And across the board, we're seeing that, and we open up the headlines, and if it's not in Maine, it's this one. And so clearly we need to do a better job of taking care of our people and making sure that people's access to mental health services isn't dependent upon how many dineros they got in their wallet. And so like that whole notion that we don't have even access to health care for those who could be turning off the engines to the next airplane is really scary for this country. I think we can do a lot better, and I think we can do a lot better much more quickly than politicians in Washington would like to drag it out, right? And so like we have a mental health issue, and we see it across the country time and time again. Crazy young guys going into schools, shooting up people, or fucktards trying to turn off the engines to an airplane. We definitely need to think about how we take care of our society, because we're not doing it the way we need to.
Agreed, wholeheartedly. I think that's the biggest thing, is we're seeing so many people alienated and not feeling compassion, not feeling a part of society. And when you don't feel society rising up to meet you and embrace you with compassion, and you get self-harm or you get harm for others. And we just continue to see this with guns, with knives, without either, with cars, in all of these.
Bears. I mean, fuck, the whole menagerie of risk factors.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so I agree with you wholeheartedly, Yarrow, that we really need to reorder our society towards compassion and inclusion of all members. And let's start just looking around.
Guided activity. That is like you don't go whitewater rafting on the Colorado without having a guide. You don't go skydiving your third time without having it be a tandem dime. Like, if people are gonna be chomping on some chocolate bars and getting their little mushroom thing on, like, bring a guide, bring a friend, bring somebody who can hold your hair, bring somebody who can keep you from doing the dumb shit that gets you charged and almost killed a bunch of people. Like, literally, this article is definitely all about the fuck around and find out, but it doesn't need to be that way. And people can take mushrooms in a semi-controlled environment with people who are responsible for them if they can't be responsible for themselves.
So I have a question. I feel like this article was put out by Project Sam because they actually wouldn't have to change their acronym at all to cover mushrooms. It would still be Project Sam. You see
what is saying? Project Sam?
Project Sam. They're the biggest prohibitionist organization in America.
Oh,
yeah.
Never heard of them somehow.
Yeah, Project Sam stands for Smart Approaches to Marijuana, which also could stand for Smart Approaches to Mushrooms. And I'm willing to bet that they're behind this article. What do you think about that?
Whether they are or not, as long as the news is accurate, the article, like, this guy created the content and maybe they're amplifying it, but it's a problem, and people on psychedelics deserve to understand the risk factors and have supervision or like guardrails. You know, when you turn 21 and you go to Acapulco with your boys, someone's got to hold your hair because you're gonna get too much tequila on you. The mushroom thing, I mean, that's part of the problem with it being underregulated is probably people aren't always sure how much of a dose they're getting. And so,
you know what it probably was? This is probably what happened. He drank some mushroom tea, okay? And he didn't finish all of it, so like all that sediment and everything's at the bottom. And then his wife came in or something and poured coffee inside the teacup in the morning, and he drank that. And then following day, and it just fucking just sent him off the rails while he's off the plane.
Speaking of off the rails, I want to know how the judging went at the Halloween costume contest. And speaking of judging, like, didn't you just judge a big drag costume?
It's not Halloween yet, Yarrow. That's Tuesday. That's tomorrow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, nice
that
try.
calendar thing,
Yes.
I forgot.
Yes, but check it out. Make sure you come and check us out over in West Hollywood for Halloween 2023. We will be on the block of Robertson de Lapeer for the first ever activation of cannabis legal sales and legal consumption in part of the largest Halloween celebration in America. And on that, we're going to go to a commercial. We're going to be right back. I'm Jason Beck, and this is Smoky Vanilla. And if you want to feel as good as I look, then you need to get yourself a stretch and smoke with Smoky Vanilla.
That's right, baby. I'm Smoky Vanilla with my background in kinesiology. I'm a sports massage therapist and stretch coach. I focus mostly on athletes who have chronic pain or injury due to their sport, or the legends of the chronic in the game, baby.
Oh, yeah, you know what it is. We just stretched, and now we're gonna smoke, because you know what it is.
That's right. I love intuitively creating a session based on the individual I'm working with. We'll go through a few assessments, look at the past health history, injury, or anything that's still affecting you today, and create a customized session just for you. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, Smoky Vanilla.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, man, you guys. All right, I'm going to go into my next story. This may make you guys excited. A Georgia state rep announces a plan to introduce a marijuana legalization bill. Some Atlanta pharmacies will start selling cannabis-infused products to patients to meet a strict set of criteria later this year, but some who could benefit say the red tape has made it impossible to get legally. Led by Democratic State Representative Eric Bell, a coalition aimed at reforming Georgia's weed laws announced at a news conference on Friday that they're taking their fight to the Gold Dome. In a quote, they says, "We believe in restorative justice and decriminalization of cannabis in Georgia," said State Representative Bell, announcing plans to introduce a bill reforming the state's weed laws at the start of the next legislative session. Under the state's current law, before the end of the year, qualifying patients can buy low-dose THC oils at some pharmacies. But the new Georgia Protection Action Fund argued the law is way too strict, adding that anyone else with the plant in all but 12 Georgia cities are considered criminals. But that's just 2% of our cities, said Tika Tinsley, an activist in favor of Bell's bills. The other 98% unfairly target black people, even though blacks and whites and other races in our demographic statistic use marijuana at similar rates. A clinical director at a Metro Atlanta methadone clinic said her patients don't qualify under the current law but could benefit tremendously. Individuals that we serve that have successfully refrained from the abuse of illicit opiates now find themselves in the battle with the stigma of THC use, said Jolyn Alfred, the clinical director at the Lakeland Centers. Earlier this year, a bill similar to Bell's went up in smoke in a committee, but the activists said they plan to turn up the heat on lawmakers this session, and they say we demand expungement for petty marijuana offenses, more opportunities for black Georgians to start medical marijuana businesses, and, of course, full legalization of marijuana in Georgia. The coalition has an incredibly uphill battle at the state capitol, especially without bipartisan backing. They would need the support of at least some Georgia Republicans who have been very reluctant to come out in favor of relaxed marijuana laws as of yet, and yada, yada, yada. But what do you guys think about this? Georgia could possibly have adult use. I don't think they're days and months away from this even being a possibility of a reality, but it is a headline today. You guys silent crickets on this, huh? Interesting.
Seeing regressive right-wing Christianity continue to hamper the people of the South from experiencing moving into the future.
Moving into the future? You mean like an RV?
They'll get it eventually. I'm sorry, what, Jay?
You mean like an RV moving into the future?
I just mean like smoking some weed and chilling the fuck out with all of their weird hatred and their attempts at Christian Sharia, etc. You know? I'd like to see a government in America that was really into policing and regulating corporations and allowing individual freedoms instead of vice versa, how it has been.
I'm surprised to hear that you're into a society that's all about policing.
Policing corporations, meaning keeping corporations from polluting us, keeping them from
people. Corporations are people.
They're not. That's one of many legal fictions that we're forced to endure currently. Yeah. And if the corporations are people, man, a lot of them need to be locked the fuck up. So how do we do that?
Oh, man. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Any thoughts on this, Yarrow? Georgia.
I mean, I really, a lot of times I riff, ramble, and rant.
It's not peaches.
Given that we just, no major comments. Nothing that's inspirational or groundbreaking.
All right. Okay. Fair enough.
Good news sounds like you can still get good money for California packs in Georgia, everybody.
That's what it sounds like to me too. I'm with you on that, Matthew. I'm with you on that. But on that one, I have one last final short little closeout story. And tomorrow being Halloween, we couldn't end the show without doing a very, very America's favorite prohibitionist tale, Project Sam special. Don't mix up marijuana edibles with your kids' Halloween candy, health experts say. Oh, yeah, come on. You knew this was coming. Mathieu St. Germain. On Halloween, adults shouldn't take adults should take special precautions to make sure children's candy doesn't get confused with adults' marijuana edibles. St. Louis Children's Hospital officials said some kids end up not only in the emergency room, but in intensive care after accidentally ingesting marijuana edibles.
Care, bro.
Hold on. First of all, they're the ones that put them in intensive care. So, nonetheless, oftentimes symptoms don't show right away. It can be a couple hours, said Dr. Lindsay Klukes of Washington University Emergency Medicine, an emergency room medical physician. Kids can be lethargic. They can be confused. Honestly, there can be severe symptoms like seizures or have trouble breathing. I've never known of cannabis to cause a kid's seizure, but nonetheless.
It actually help to see.
Yeah, exactly. Cluckies also, I love her last name, Cluckies, Clukies, said sometimes the effects of children eating marijuana edibles aren't immediately evident. And she also says you can be so altered that you don't protect your airway. You have difficulty breathing, she said. There have even been cases where we have to breathe for the child in order to make sure oxygen levels are okay. We've even seen seizures from accidental ingestions. The phone number for Missouri Poison Control Center is 800-222-1222. And so I guess parents, make sure that you don't give your kids cannabis candy on Halloween night. What do you think about this? Gives whole new meaning to secure the bag. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, first of all, it's a total waste of THC. But you know, this delivery system, edibles, is the hardest one in terms of keeping it out of the mouths of munchkins. I've never, you know, it does worry me because as we see these new markets come on, especially new adult use markets, and the canna curious, they just don't. Some of them just don't understand.
Yeah, but
your kid isn't going to drink an ounce of moonshine out of the liquor cabinet, but they will eat 7 gummies because it tastes kind of sweet.
I have a question, Yarrow. Have you ever witnessed up there? I mean, you both live up there, up in the north. Have you guys ever witnessed anyone giving out cannabis candy at Halloween to kids?
No, but I think anybody could make a mistake. I don't think anybody intentionally would waste their stash or purposely have munchkins get inebriated. But I do think that we see edible issues.
But if
time again,
hold on a second,
edible.
but if they gave away part of their stash, okay, Yarrow, in that scenario, then they would be giving a product that was not prepackaged. So, and therefore, I don't think any parent should let their kids eat any unpackaged actual candy in the first place, no matter what it is.
Great.
I agree.
And dude, think about how long we've had weed food up here in NorCal, and nobody ever gets it. Like, if that was happening, I would be out trick or treating.
I mean,
like, give me that weed food.
Tell me about it. You guys used to make those Humboldt goo balls, all right? Those just like full of bird seed. Exactly. Yes.
Oh, nobody want that for Halloween, bro.
Kids ain't gonna eat that. They're gonna be like, "What the hell is this shit?" You gave me shit. I'm just gonna throw it at you and make a mess or something like that.
The one I hated when I was a kid was the apple, bro. Like when people would give you an apple.
Oh man.
Like for real, dude, an apple?
That ain't shit. Okay, if you didn't grow up a hippie and have to suffer through carob instead of chocolate.
Oh no, I did, bro. Yes, I had hippie parents as well. Yeah.
There's trafficking of minors, landmines, and then there's carob. Okay, in terms of worst things in the world, carob is right below landmines. And anybody who has allowed or facilitated or made their kid eat carob should theoretically, there should be no statute of limitations on them being prosecuted, persecuted. And I think this is the beginnings of Tuesday morning's show.
Oh man, you guys.
Thank God carob has disappeared from the stores.
And
I'm with you on that one, bro.
Oh man. Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. Thank you all for joining us for another episode of High at 9 News every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. Big thank yous to our audience and supporters for tuning in and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to all of our sponsors. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Yarrow, for coming on today. Thank you very much for spending your time with us. And thank you to everyone at home for spending your time with us. We know you could have been anywhere else. And thank you all for tuning in to High at 9 News. It is America's #1 daily cannabis news show.